Good evening. I'm Sadie Hutson from the College of Nursing, and upon reading the title of my presentation, I suspect that this may be the image that came to most of your minds. But because of significant advances in treatment, this is no longer the face of a patient living with HIV/AIDS. For the next few moments, I ask that you eradicate this likeness from your minds. In the past, we thought about HIV/AIDS as being concentrated in large urban centers. Today, about half of all new HIV infections occur in the South, despite the fact that the South accounts for only 1/3 of the total US population. The South also stakes claim to the nation's highest rates of HIV-related mortality. Similarly, the South accounted for 40% of persons living with AIDS, and in Tennessee, Black men and women are disproportionately affected by both. These trends are disturbing. If we know that the mode of disease transmission is consistent across all regions, then what explains this problem? Stigma. The stigma surrounding HIV is a key reason that the South is the epicenter of new HIV infections in this country. I used to be surprised when patients told me that they would rather be known as a meth head than a patient living with HIV in Appalachia. This shock has worn off and has given way to a better understanding of the vulnerabilities. This map depicts the subregions of Appalachia, which has certainly been characterized by a number of social determinants leading to poor overall health, such as poverty, lack of education, lack of access to health care, limited access to social support, inadequate health care infrastructure, and lack of health insurance. But this is not what we're talking about when we talk about stigma. What we need to consider instead are the factors that really contribute to the HIV epidemic in the South. These include heteronormativity, homophobia, institutionalized racism, and gender discrimination. These are everyday issues for our patients. Our work takes place here in the Appalachian counties of Tennessee and Alabama, in the heart of the Bible Belt, where strong religious and spiritual values are a hallmark of the culture. As you will see in a moment, these values can also be the very thing that isolate people living with this disease. Much of what we'll do in this study also draws upon work that I've conducted studying another chronic illness in Appalachia, cancer. Consider the concept of layered or compounded disparities. For instance, this individual who lives in a rural Appalachian region, has HIV, is a lesbian, Black, and a single mother caring for young children. Our work also draws upon the theory of intersectionality, which is the belief that oppressions are interlinked and can't be solved alone. We hope to examine how various axes of identity interact on multiple, simultaneous levels, contributing to prolonged and systematic injustice. One of the many strengths of Appalachia is the cultural value of storytelling. This is important because many beliefs about healthcare are shaped by what has been told by family, friends, and community members. This may affect the way people living with HIV in Appalachia view the available healthcare services, and listening to stories is a big part of what we'll be doing. Specifically, services may be available, but cultural access is limited by fears of discovery or insensitive services. A lack of trust of healthcare providers exists because families and communities in Appalachia tend to rely on one another, and patients may set aside their own needs for the needs of their families. Between March and May of this year, we conducted a pilot study to explore the end-of-life needs among patients living with HIV/AIDS in Appalachian Tennessee counties. I want to highlight some of the findings from one participant regarding physical, emotional, social, and spiritual aspects of his experience by sharing his words with you. What has emerged thus far is a formative narrative about coming back up the mountain. This is a contradictory, repeated metaphor which introduces the qualities of Appalachian value system, but also ambivalence, isolation, and stigma. Let me provide you with some examples. When we discussed the structure and process of health care, this person indicated struggles with mental health issues and said, "I think I went through a little bout of depression, and I think I'm climbing back up the mountain now." He also indicated that he coped using a lot of faith and a lot of going to the mountaintop. We also talked about the availability of support groups, and he said, "It's a little bit rougher up here in these hills and mountains. I'm not real happy with the support services mentally that are being provided here in Upper East Tennessee. Being gay is still cloaked so much in secrecy because it's a smaller group and everybody knows everybody." Patients feel the stigma from their providers too. My other doctor had his hands all over me, and he checked my ears, my mouth, my nose, my liver, my lungs, my lymph nodes. I just had a doctor's appointment last Tuesday, and the guy touched me one time. The little bastard did not want to be in that room. You can feel that. I mean, if you're intuitive, if you've got feeling, you can tell it. We also discussed spirituality and end-of-life needs, and he said, I have a strong faith, and I guess almost an unshakable faith. And as much as I believe in that, I'm just as far on it with a bad taste in my mouth for organized religion. I don't think God makes junk, and I think that most gay people have been given unbelievable talents. When I asked him how he envisioned the end of his life, he said, you're going to take me up on the mountain in a wagon with a set of horses pulling me. I don't know why I had to get HIV, but there's some reason I did, and it's going to make me a stronger person. And my way of faith is that it's going to give me another star on my crown when I get across the river. In our project, we will use a mixed methods approach to conduct more interviews in Appalachian, Tennessee, and Alabama counties. This will inform the adaptation of an advanced care planning survey. Finally, we will use the innovation of geographic information systems to create maps to pinpoint end-of-life services and demonstrate disparities in access and availability. Our team feels very privileged to be doing this work and to have received NIH funding to do so. And I'd like to recognize the study team, including Dr. Susan Gaskins from the University of Alabama, as well as my colleagues here in Knoxville, Drs. Hall, Lindley, O'Doy, and Phillips. And their amazing contributions make this work both possible and very rewarding. Thank you.